Hey guys, it's April with Crafting with April. I just wanted to show you guys everybody's asking me about how to make this card. Um, it is a tie the knot card on a twisted gatefold base. And I did glue the panels to the back on this one to cover the knot on the back side. But basically what happens is you have the card here, and then when they open it up, this knot is kind of loose. And as you open the card all the way, it tightens the knot. And you can use this as a congratulations card, as a wedding invitation, just several things. It has many uses. You can also use it for any base and not fold those back. And I think Bonnie, our tester, is posting a card that she did without them pinned back like this. But let me go over how I got to this point with the card. Here's the file in Cricut Design Space, and it is a public file. I will share it with you. And of course you can change out some elements, but just let me go over some things. If you're going to want to use this font and this congratulations on tying the knot, then you'll need the Samantha font. And what I did is I put my information in here, typed it out, and welded it together. But you can put your own in there, whatever you want it to say. And then I flattened it to that card. So what you're going to do is basically put your font in. And like I said, I used the Samantha. And then you're going to size everything. You'll just put in whatever names that you have. And then you're going to, of course, align it. Letter space it and bring those together so that it looks cursive. And you may, like with some names, it just depends. This one's already almost together, but mine is not. That one looks good, but that didn't connect there, but I don't want to go anymore. So at this point, I'm going to ungroup to letters. Just going to scoot this stuff up out of my way. And I'm going to select that name, and I'm going to weld it. I am going to select this name. Oops, I'm sorry. Nope. Going to select this and that and weld it. I missed that and I'm just going to scoot it out a little bit. And then I'm going to bring this in to where I like the way that it marries up there. And then I'm going to select that, weld it, and then I am going to get it back in line with the other, giving it about the same amount of space. Then I'm going to select it all and weld. And then I'm just going to size it in there. And don't forget, just because it looks small on the screen, it doesn't mean it's going to come out small. You don't want it to hit you in the face, so to speak, once you're done. But I'm not going to go through all of it, but you're going to do the same thing with everything that you want on the inside of the card. Then you're going to place it, and I centered mine so that the knot would be right here. If they tightened it all the way, it would land right about here. So that's the way it's set up, and the way I did that was I aligned it and I centered it, and I made sure that there's my holes. This was aligned center of this card, and then I let me just use this one. I just wanted to show you guys how to do it. Align, and I'm going to align that center, okay? Then this is the backing piece, and this is the vellum, and you can tell because it's flattened. This is the piece that I did the vellum on. Select both of those. Well, actually, I'm going to select all three of those, and I'm going to align center. Now that I know that everything is center, I'm going to select the words and the piece of vellum, and I'm going to flatten it. Now that is going to print, then cut on vellum, okay? And that takes care of that piece. Then you have your center piece that goes behind the vellum on this panel right here, okay? Then these two pieces, this is a square, but it's going to cut at an angle, and these two pieces have a hole in them. And that is just a guide. It may match up, it may not. It's going to depend on the cardstock you use and how you place it. But it is set in there to fit correctly, and you'll be able to see the other hole. And it's going to slice here, and then you're going to put this one on the right here, this one on the left right here. So that's that piece, or those two pieces, this one and this one. That's where those panels go, right here and right here. Bottom left, top right. That's what those are. These are top left and bottom right. They have no hole right here, these panels. This one, if you'll notice, the line is going in an opposite direction. This is going to be this part of the card right here. Okay? These are your panels with the holes in them. Here's your outside panels here, and they're turned in a different direction. So just so that you guys know that this is that piece. Don't flip it. Don't do anything to it. If you do, it's not going to fit, because I forgot to flip this before I cut the card, and I used a pattern paper that was solid on the other side, and guess where my pattern ended up? Glued to the front. So make sure this has been corrected and it's ready to go. Don't flip it. Make sure you cut it just like it is. But that's for the front of your card. And then this is the base of your medallion, and here is the top. And what I did is I added a small square. I sliced, instead of print and cut, because I couldn't print on this patterned paper. It has a coating on it. If you're using pearl paper, it's going to have a coating on it. Foils are going to have a coating. So what I did is I inserted the initial, and I placed it and sized it how I wanted it on that piece. And I selected it. I aligned it to the center, and then I sliced that. Okay? But I had white paper going behind it, and I wanted it to look printed like the vellum did on the inside. So what I did is I inserted a shape, and I got a square, and I just made sure that it fit without coming into the lacy portion of that medallion. You can always trim it up too, not a big deal. But that looks like it fits good and covers the entire background of that. And then I slipped it in between and glued it in there so that it appeared that that was printed. Okay, so if you want to do an initial on the front, I would do that instead of making more weight and bulking it up. Instead, I preferred it to look like it was engraved out of the cardstock that I was using. But that's how you can do that and achieve that look. I'm going to, well, I'm not going to save this file, but I'm going to undo it so that we have the original file in case I do hit save. Get rid of all of that and get my slice back in there. Okay, so that's how you're going to get your initial on that medallion. And then when you glue it, you're going to want to wait to glue this one. So when you've got everything cut and ready to go, the first thing you're going to do is put in your panel on the center, your inside panels here, top left, bottom right, and then this is the top right, and this is the bottom left. So you're going to put those panels in and glue them into place. Like I said, don't worry about if the holes don't line up exactly. Center your panel like you want it, and that hole is just a guide, okay? So get that part done. Once you have that done and those panels are glued in place, then you're going to glue these panels into place. Hold off on your vellum, okay? You don't want to damage your vellum. Hold off on these pieces. Once you have all of that assembled and it's ready to go, all of your panels are on, then you're going to take a slip of cord. And I used, this came from Hobby Lobby that I used. It's a satin type cord. And I put in a brad, what I did here with a crocodile, just so that the hole was covered on the inside and it looked pretty. So that's what you want to do there, is just go ahead and punch your hole. If that didn't line up, punch your hole and put your brad in there and set it. Okay, or eyelet, not a brad, I'm sorry. Put your eyelet in there and set it. I guess you could use a brad too to hold that and just wrap your cord around if it's a thin enough cord. But to make sure that it's secure, I preferred the eyelet. So I put the eyelet through the front, and then I flipped it over and went to the back side or the front side of the card and tied a knot and trimmed it off. Okay, then you're going to tie your half knot. Let's get over to that photo. So that's where I've run that through, and you can see I haven't quite finished gluing that all the way down yet. But I've run that through, and I've tied the knot on the back. Then I've tied the slip knot. Well, actually, I put these rings. These are findings for like bracelets and jewelry making, but they resembled rings, and that's why I use them. You can use anything you want. I know that a lot of people use those little fake rings that you get for decor, for cupcakes and things like that. Those would be perfect on there, and you could add them at any time because they're split. These are not split. So I ran those onto the cord. Then I tied my half knot, okay? And then I pulled the card open flat, completely flat, okay? And I made sure that when it was flat, I held this side of the cord down where it couldn't move, and I made sure my knot was in the center up here, okay? So when it's pulled completely open, it ends up right about here, and it's flat. And it's a good size open knot right here as you're opening the card. And I just wanted it to hit, when it was tied, to hit well. Then you're going to run through the other eyelet you did on this side. And once you've done that, tie a knot off on that side, and then adjust and get this where you want it. Because if you want to shorten your cord, or you don't feel like your cord is long enough, and I'm going to say cut your cord about 6 inches longer than you need so you have something to play with. And then you're just going to tie it off on the back side when you get it set like you want it. I didn't want this knot to be much tighter than this once the card was open and flat. So that's where I did mine. But you'll see when you're doing this card how it lines up. And then, of course, like I said, I glued these panels back against each other. So when the card is lying flat, that is the way that it is right there. And it's still drying, so that's why I have my candle on it, why I photographed it so it wouldn't pop up. And once you have that done and it's folded flat, then you're going to apply your medallion. You've glued all these 3 layers together, your white layer, your black layer, and your base layer. Glue them together, and then you're just going to put glue on this section right here and glue it to one side of the card. And if you want to put a little Velcro tab over here, you can. That way they can open that Velcro tab. It will stay flat, and then you can just open the card up. And I get those little Velcro clear ones in the sewing department at Walmart. So those will work well on this card. So that's where this card, I mean, it's just an old base. And I hadn't used it in a while. So I did some testing. I didn't have it in Design Space. I had it on measurements on something else from old Stampin' Up! Days. But that is the Twisted Gate base. Now, if you don't want to do a tie the knot card and you want to use this for other occasions, guys, just go in here and click your base and detach your score lines, okay? And after you detach the score lines, you'll notice that contour is available. And you can click on, you can click on contour, and contour out those holes. And then you have just a regular card base. So it's very versatile. You can use it for anything. You can change out that medallion for anything that you need to use it for. It's all in this. You can put a flower here. You can put a circle. You can make it say happy birthday. Just tons of things. But you will not glue these back against themselves like I did here. Let's see. You can see it better right here. Because if you don't have that cord, you don't need to do that to hide that knot. And it opens up totally differently because this is just going to fold open. But with that knot folded, that twisted gate base right here, it just flies open and it's really cool. So very versatile. I hope this helps you guys out and tells you how to do that. If you have any trouble or anything like that, let me know and I will try to walk you through it. I would do a live tutorial on it, but I do not have time to do that today. And I may do that on next week's live. So just stay tuned. And if I have time, I will cut one and we'll put it together on the live. I won't do the tie the knot, but I will do the regular base maybe on Wednesday. You guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next video.